Hello everyone and welcome into the Fallout Shelter. I hope you're having a great day, morning, noon, night, whatever it is, wherever you're at, wherever the case may be. I hope you're having a good one, whatever it is. Hey there, Silent Walk, Big Bear, Lynette, TM. Greetings to you all. Much love to you. Good to see you guys. Hey, I'm waving at you. So, hi, much love. Good to see you, Big Bear. Hope all is well. Steve Ladner, Raw H2O, welcome in. Good to see all you guys. Whew. Man, let me tell y'all, there has been some crazy lightning going on in Mississippi the last few days. So much so that I've pretty much kept my stuff unplugged, and anytime I think I'm about ready, it's safe to plug it back in, it starts right back up. It's been crazy. But anyway, it's clear right now, and there's nothing booming on the ground. So I'm going to see if I can't get part 2 going of this, the largest unethical experiment in human history. Trying to get everything lined up now. I'm going to briefly go back over the beginning of it again and kind of have an idea of what we're talking about. I figured it out that there's no way that I'm ever going to get a chance to probably read every word of this, and I doubt any of y'all are going to go read every word of this. So there will be an audible version with commentary available at YouTube. How about that? If you go back to part 1, I went over this introduction pretty good, and we just talked about it a lot. I'm basically going to be reading this study. Now, hey there, Sister Golden Hair, Paris Logan. Good to see you. Much love to you guys. Let's just start. I'm trying to start out pretty quick. Let me get the screen sharing it with you guys, or I'll be done forgot. There we go. There's that, and now y'all should be seeing everything I'm seeing, and we should all be in good shape. Thinking anyway. I have no idea what y'all are seeing. I'm trying to watch it up there. There we go. Now okay. Delay on that. All right. Now everything's up like it ought to be. Scott Free. Good to see you. Welcome in. Much love. Okay, what I'm doing, this is part 2 of the largest unethical medical experiment in human history. This has come out, copyrighted in 2020. It was penned by Ronald N. Kostoff. The links to this study and the link to the National Institute of Health about Dr. Kostoff and some of his comments are listed right here. This is comments that submitted, but he gives his background in here at the National Institute of Health. This guy's background: he received a PhD in aerospace and mechanical sciences from Princeton University. He subsequently worked for Bell Laboratories, the Department of Energy, the Office of Naval Research, and MITRE Corp. Published over 200 peer-reviewed articles, served as guest editor of 4 journal special issues since 1994, obtained 2 text mining system patents, and presently am a research affiliate at the Georgia Institute of Technology, which is where this is coming from. The largest unethical medical experiment in human history by Ronald N. Kostoff. Hey, Rare Breeds, if I missed y'all, much love. Good to see you. Much love to you. I think I saw you in there. I've read the abstract, and basically everything we're going to start to go over actually goes back over all this again. This is just where he says over and over the true extent of the severity of this communications technology experiment has been grossly underestimated. Today we will get into, we went over all of this in the first part, and we got down to basically the into the table of contents, which is where we'll be starting today. Hey Rhonda, good to see you. Much love to you. So we'll start here, and then I'll probably go about 30 to 45 minutes on each one of these to keep them in a pattern where people will probably watch them. I think this is important information. What do I know? I'm just a country boy from Mississippi. If there's any information that I have found in the past year and a half that needs to be shared with people. In my opinion, it is this information right here. This information is coming from an accredited school, from an accredited writer, and there's a lot of accredited people that are trustworthy. There's a lot of non-accredited people that are trustworthy. That's not what I get at a lot of times. When we go to talk to other people and other individuals and explain to them the things that we're seeing, sometimes the information that we take to them, they dismiss it right off the bat because of who it comes from. This is not dismissive. This is important. This is from the Georgia School of Technology, I say his name wrong, Dr. Ronald Kostoff. I'm probably pronouncing that horribly wrong, but it is what it is. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to start right here with the executive summary. I'm just going to start reading, and I'm sure that there will be some commenting on it. ES1 overview, executive summary. We are starting into the study right past all of the introductions and everything. We are in the midst of the largest unethical medical experiment in human history. This experiment is the implementation and operation of a global wireless network for communications, surveillance, and other purposes. It is a medical experiment because we do not know the full extent of the adverse health effects that will result from the wireless network implementation and operation. It is an unethical medical experiment because it violates the key ethical medical experiment requirement of informed consent from the recipients. Now, we went over this when I was talking about just in the intro of the introduction to all this. They keep saying the same things over and over. Is a medical experiment. It is unethical. There is no informed consent. Why do they keep repeating this over and over? Because to whoever is reading it, they want you to they want you to understand they want you to get in your head. Experiment, experiment, experiment. It's not a business. It's not about all profit. It's not everything, because when it comes down to the end, nobody knows what the end ramifications are going to be. And then they keep using the term informed consent. We're on page 9. Page 9, and we've seen the term informed consent probably 10 times already, because they're trying to let you know this is happening without your consent, because it's happening without your knowledge. Picking back up. Even though the adverse health effects of wireless radiation reported over the past 70 plus years span the range of severity from discomfort to lethality, we do not know the full extent of adverse health effects from this technology because, now this is what I like. A lot of times you get these writers, they write these things and it says, we don't know the full effects of this technology. And it ends right there. But this one says, we don't know the effects because. So now we have reasoning to go along with it. Most laboratory experiments aimed at identifying wireless radiation health effects bear no relation to real-life exposures and are performed under the most benign conditions of single stressors, no pulsing and modulation of the carrier signal, no synergistic effects of other toxic stimuli acting in concert with the wireless radiation. Now, there's a lot of this I've said, and I'm not a scientist, I don't have ways, but I've said over and over, there's no way that the real world setting is even close to the setting in which they do their experiments in their control. Once you start to compound things out here in the real world setting, there's no telling what we really deal with, and it's never probably, if there's any test and there's any information on it exactly, the government has it, and we'll never know exactly what it is because they know exactly how harmful it is. These experimental deficiencies are compounded by lack of access to the global classified literature on adverse health effects from wireless radiation. Why would there be classified literature on adverse health effects from wireless radiation if it was completely safe? Ugh. Lack of knowledge of proprietary basic and advanced studies on adverse health effects from wireless radiation. See, we don't, he's saying here, we don't know anything. This guy worked for Bell Laboratories. He also worked for MITRE and the Department of the Naval Research. And he says we have a lack of knowledge of proprietary basic and advanced studies on basic studies. We lack knowledge of the basics of the adverse health effects of wireless radiation. This from Dr. Ronald Kostoff, not from Fallout. I'm reading a paper from the Georgia Institute of Technology. Not something I made up, not from conspiracynut.com. The adverse wireless radiation health effects that have been identified already from the incomplete literature openly available are massive in scope and magnitude. They support the conclusion that wireless radiation is already implemented is extremely dangerous to human health. It acts as both a promoter, accelerator, and initiator of adverse health effects. It acts as both a promoter, accelerator, and initiator of adverse health effects. Addition of the missing elements described above and more wireless radiation infrastructure will exacerbate further the adverse effects from wireless radiation on human health directly through contribution to chronic disease, and human health indirectly through degradation of the food chain ecosystem. Now see, while we're all looking at weather modification and we're looking at stratospheric aerosol injections and we're looking at the poisoning of the air and the poisoning of the water, a lot of times not noticing and paying attention because we can't see these frequencies. We don't realize what these frequencies are doing to everything on the ground too. Most of us know what they've done to the bees. We know what they're doing to the birds. We know what they're doing to all the other insects. But then in turn with all of the, I think from the airplanes, they call them polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. Once they mesh with everything on the ground they draw these frequencies because they are the same materials that if you could take an electron microscope and break down antenna, that's what they're made of. The same materials that make up thermite magnets, the same materials that make up thermite, the same reason that when lightning hits it and it's on the ground in California, it sets blazes because they keep anyway, that's a story for a different stream. Moving on. Adverse impacts of wireless radiation on the most vulnerable members of society. So now we are at ES2. I think that's still in section 1. And, excuse me. In the spirit of the unethical medical experience described in this monograph, it is the poor and dispossessed who will suffer the most from wireless radiation exposure. Now, why is that? Well, luckily for us, we don't just have a guy that's giving you these statements. He's giving you these statements and he's giving you the reason why. This is because wireless radiation plays a dual role of initiator and promoter accelerator of serious disease. Isn't there a serious disease going around right now? But if you try to tie it to any type of communications, boy, you are just a conspiracy nut. But right here, this doctor says that, you know, this real doctor, science, peer-reviewed, published, promoter accelerator role, it can accelerate the progression of existing serious disease such as cancer, and or through synergy can produce serious adverse health effects when combined with other toxic stimuli that neither constituent of the combination could produce in isolation. Which means things can happen to you here out in this world that cannot happen to you in the controlled environment. Because many of the toxic stimuli, such as harsh chemicals, biotoxins, ionizing radiation sources, vibrating machinery, prolonged sitting doing repetitive tasks, high air pollution, are experienced by the poorest members of society in their occupations. And many toxic stimuli, such as air pollutants, toxic wastes, are very prevalent in their residential environments. Thus, people who spray pesticides in farm labor or household applications, people who do cleaning with harsh chemicals, people who dispose of hazardous materials, basically people who do the dirty work in our society and live in dirty environments, are already leading candidates for higher risk of serious diseases. Boy, I don't stand a chance, you guys. Check this out. As my job is doing finishes and being a finish painter, exterior finish expert, if you will, for military construction work, I have coated things that go underwater. I have done all type of stuff with chemicals that they didn't even have names on them. They just have numbers. Like this company's number 223 or this company's number 75 or something else, something like that. I've worked with all of those harsh chemicals, all of the cleaning chemicals, all of the farming chemicals. But you know what? It is what it is, and I pray that the Father in heaven keeps his hand on me and takes care of me the same way that I pray every day about these wireless radiation effects. And let's move on. Where was I at? I lost my place. Adding a wireless radiation promoter accelerator to their residential or occupational environments will radically increase their chances for developing serious disease. Closing the digital divide for them will translate to increased suffering and reduced longevity. We move on down. We get down here to ES3. And we're really making some progress now. We're now on to page 11. Guys, it's humble disciples. Good to see you, brother. Much love. Boru, welcome in. TM Fall, welcome in. Much love to you guys. Love you guys. Flat Earth guy, going to take I heard that. I would love to be going to take a bike out today too. Much love to you. Enjoy the bike. Marcy, good to see you. Much love to you. If I missed anybody, I've just been rambling on. And I know there's some people that's going to think this is probably, it's just so different from what I normally do. And it may even hit on a bit of the boring side. But this is what I think is important right now. And I don't think there's any way some people are ever going to get this deep into this, and just maybe somebody will listen to me read part of it and they'll go find it and we'll get this going to pieces it needs to go. This needs to get out to people, just everybody in general. If it wasn't 1,000, I'm going to pick certain pages and print them and hand them out. All right, moving on. Where's my water? Wow, the time goes by so fast when we do this. Don't jab me, bro. What's up, brother? Good to see you. Or sister, I don't really know. But it says don't jab me, bro, so I went brother back. Okay. Role of conflicts of interest in the sponsorship, conduct, and dissemination of wireless radiation research. Now, just for the record, I'm not a scientist. I may not understand a bunch of this, but I understand that this paper is important, and that's why I'm sharing it. Because we may come across parts of it that are super boring and super that I go, but that it is what it is. So I'm just trying to do this and share it with you guys. The results shown in literature cannot be separated from the context in which this research has been sponsored, conducted, and disseminated. Now, that is something that I've always thought about. We get a lot of things written down, we get a lot of answers, but we never have context all the time. So hopefully that in this, we get a lot of more context in the way it's written. So far, I'm really enjoying it because it gives us more insight from the mind of a insider than and I'd like to know what caused this guy after his career that he had to actually write this and put it out. I would like to ask him that, because if he wrote this, there's a reason. It's either specifically to put it out there for them, going, okay, this is dangerous, we're letting you know, or he has had something happen in his family where it turned him around. I would like to know that from this guy. Maybe one day I'll find out. In the USA and in most, if not all countries, the two major sponsors of wireless radiation health and safety research are the federal government and the wireless radiation industry, in that order. Imagine that. Both of these organizations have a strong intrinsic conflict of interest with respect to wireless radiation. Can you imagine that? The federal government and the wireless radiation industry are the ones who are the sponsors of the health and safety research for the wireless radiation. And it's 1,100 pages, Boru. It's 1,086. This is going to be a long time. I mean, that's the reason I decided to do it this way. There's no other way I'm going to read it. So while I'm reading it, I might as well read it and share it with you guys. What's up, Moto J? Good to see you. The federal government is a strong promoter of wireless radiation infrastructure development and rapid expansion, most recently supporting accelerated implementation of 5G infrastructure. The federal government that promotes accelerated implementation of wireless radiation technology also sponsors research examining the technology's potential adverse effects and regulates the technology's potentially adverse impacts on the public. The fact that these development, regulation, and safety functions may be assigned to different executive agencies within the federal government is irrelevant from the independent's perspective. The separate executive agencies in the federal government are like the tentacles of an octopus. They operate synchronously under one central command. The federal government that promotes accelerated implementation of wireless radiation technology also sponsors the research examining the technology's potential adverse effects and regulates the technology's potentially adverse effects on the public. Now, I think there's a company right now that starts with an M, and they're producing this genomic therapy type stuff. And I think they actually have a partnering agreement with this little place, the National Institutes of something, and this high priest of health that we have in the United States right now. I'm trying to avoid that topic, y'all, because it gets me slammed here at YouTube. That's the only thing I've got in trouble for. It's the exact, just pretend that I'm using those words, the V word and those companies, and reread that sentence again. The federal government that promotes accelerated implementation of genomic things sponsors the research examining that technology's potential adverse effects and regulates that technology's potential adverse effects on the public through the FDA. That's an ongoing thing here with our government, correct? Right? Okay. Well, I had to jump that in there, and that is what it is. Maybe I said it in a way. I don't know. I hate having to do that. That sucks. We should not have to live in a day and age where a person giving their opinion in the United States of America has to change their words so a frickin' computer algorithm isn't censoring them. We are censored by machinery. Hello? Anybody? Censored by machinery. Moving on. The wireless promoter's main objective of developing and implementing the technology rapidly or it's all enabled by, okay, I'm just going to read it. It's all enabled by money. It's profit driven. It's all profit driven. And you know what mine and your problem is we don't have the money to pay for a lobbyist in Washington. Lobbyist. That's the key word to almost all of everything. Lobbyist. The wireless promoter main objective of developing and implementing the technology rapidly are enabled by suppressing knowledge to the public of potential adverse effects from the technology's operation. And then when you go to the doctor for those adverse effects, they have a pill that just masks the symptom because they have no way of fixing the problem. These fundamental conflicts impact the objectivity of the health and safety R&D sponsors and performers. Any federal research sponsor of wireless radiation technology safety would be highly conflicted between a desire to satisfy executive and legislative objectives of accelerating expansion of wireless radiation technology and implementation, and sponsoring objective research focused on identifying and reporting adverse effects of wireless radiation under real-life conditions. Likewise, any sponsored research performer addressing wireless radiation technology safety would be highly conflicted between 1. Reporting the actual adverse effects expected under real-life conditions, and 2. The desire to satisfy wireless radiation promotional objectives of the research sponsor in order to maintain long-range funding. See? There you go. He hit it on. Look, freaking whatever he is or not. He hit it on the head right there. They don't report the actual adverse effects on real life conditions because it will get involved with their long range funding. If their long range funding is messed up, your human health matters zero to the communications companies, to the federal government, and these are the people who are supposed to take care of you, that are supposed to be your voice in Washington. You want to know why I've never got involved in that system? I seen as a kid that system was crap. I could see I was a lying little something. I was sneaky. I was all kind of things. And you know what I saw in those politicians? I seen in their face the exact same look I had in mine. The same type of feelings that I had, and how am I going to get around and how am I going to get my way? I seen that in all of those politicians. I heard it in the way they phrase things. And for me, as a person that wanted to get my way in everything, you know who I studied to be that way? I looked at politicians, at the way they talk, because people like them, and yet they went off to Washington and they went off to whatever their place is in the city, and they did whatever they wanted anyway with no concern about what the people wanted, because the people don't have millions of dollars in lobbyists stuffing it in their pockets. Sorry guys, I got off on a little ramble there. Let's check out ES4 here. It says these are some of the adverse health effects from wireless radiation exposure. Now, I have a video, if you go way back on my YouTube page, it's called The Russian Government and Mind Control or something like that. There's a link to those papers. I have them up, and they will be coming up at some point during some of this. But the Russians put this information out way before America did about what the dangers that they could do with frequencies, and they listed the differences in the type of super high frequencies, very high frequencies, ultra high frequencies, things of that nature. And it all lines up. Everything that we have found since that Russian document lines up exactly with it. ES4, adverse health effects from wireless radiation exposure. Once again, if you're new in here, we are going over a study by Dr. Ronald Kostoff from the Georgia Institute of Technology, copyright 2020. Links are in the description. In aggregate, for the high frequency, radio frequency part of the spectrum, expert reviews show that radio frequency radiation below the FCC exposure guidelines can result in RF radiation. We're talking about radio frequency. Just radio frequency, okay? We're not in anything else. We're in the RF part of the RF part of the spectrum. This is what exposure guidelines lower than what the FCC can result in. Carcinogenicity, brain tumors, glioma, breast cancer, acoustic neuromas, leukemia, parotid gland tumors, genotoxicity, DNA damage, DNA repair inhibition, chromatin structure, mutagenicity, teratogenicity, neurodegenerative diseases, Alzheimer's, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, and then I like to add to that multiple sclerosis. We also have peripheral neuropathy, we have cerebral neuropathy, we have all of the neurodegenerative diseases in there. Neurobehavioral problems, autism, reproductive problems, pregnancy outcomes, oxidative stress, inflammation, apoptosis. That's a word right there, apoptosis, that everybody needs to learn and do a little digging into right now if you don't really understand what's going on with this genomic therapy that's happening for everybody else. You know, the jabber, the high priest of health is telling everybody they need to go get. Good to see you, Silent Walk. Welcome in. Skywatcher Footage, good to see you. Welcome in. And Baxter Reynolds, much love to all of you guys coming in here. Apoptosis is the natural destruction of a cell. It's a cell destructing from the inside out. When you have a cell right here, And it's, if you had it laying on the counter, you could take and smash it. Okay, that's not apoptosis, and that's necrosis. Necrosis is when a cell starts to destruction because you were an outside stimuli and you make it happen. Apoptosis is when that cell stops getting its nutrition that it needs and its life substance that it needs, and it starts to die on its own. They would have you believe, just look into it a little bit. I'll talk a little more about that on the D-Live channels when I can talk about that V word and the sicknesses and all that. Oh, what else do we have? It can also result in exposure to problems to the pineal gland. Imagine that. Melatonin production, sleep disturbance, headache, irritability, fatigue, concentration difficulties, depression, dizziness, tinnitus, burned and flushed skin, digestive... I have all of this. I don't know if my pineal's messed up, but I have a sleep disturbance, I have a headache, I'm always irritable, fatigue, concentration difficulties, depression, dizziness, tinnitus, burned and flushed skin, digestive disturbance, tremor, cardiac irregularities, and adversely impact the neural, circulatory, immune, endocrine, and skeletal. It does it all! The effects range from myriad of feelings of discomfort to life-threatening diseases. From this perspective, RF exposure is a highly pervasive cause of disease. Whew. Yeah. See, normally when these studies come out and they're 10 to 20 pages long, I try to read them and then I try to give you all the highlights. When I realized how many pages I was looking at here, I said, you know what? I don't think we're going to catch the highlights. Yeah, I see that, y'all. We have those too. Yeah. Everybody has got so many of these problems now, and we mask them through the medical system. We give you medications to what? Well, it makes your nerve system quit working. What? Yeah, it would make your pain go away. We'll just make your pain receptors quit working. That's not a fix. But we all deal with that. Like right now, my fingertips are numb, and I don't know exactly if I don't normally have that in my fingertips. Sometimes I do. I think maybe I slip on my neck wrong. I don't know. But anyway, yeah, I'm sitting here. I've been shaking my hand just about the whole time doing the stream because when I reach up to touch the mouse, it feels weird. I deal with peripheral neuropathy something severely. I used to take 1,600 milligrams of Neurontin a day. I took their nerve-killing medications. Not only did it kill my nerves, I can't remember anything from the time I started taking that medication to the time I quit taking it. And after that, some of it's still kind of fuzzy, but it's getting a lot better. When I took that medication, I could sleep. Well, I'm not even going to say I went to sleep. I passed out for like 3 or 4 hours. And then I would wake up and I'd hurt so bad that I'd have to take the medication again in the middle of the night. Hey, good evening from Mississippi, back to the UK, Indigo. We are worldwide, y'all, worldwide. Oh. So yeah. I don't even remember what I was saying. All right, moving on. ES5. Whew. We are making some progress tonight, though. At this rate, we should all be educated on 5G about the time that Agenda 2030 is completely implemented. How about that? I'm gonna have to get in here a lot to do this story, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of diagrams and stuff we get to just kind of look at and skip coming up. All right, ES5. The struggle for survival of human life on Earth is dependent on the logistical food supply chain. That is absolutely true. We've been talking about the food chain a lot as the foundation of this supply chain. Before the farmers become involved in harvesting its bounty, are the insects, seeds, flora, trees, etc. And a lot of times we don't even think about that way, but man, we sure need to, because that's where it all starts. that enable the bountiful growth of the myriad potential foods. If the integrity of this foundational logistical supply chain is threatened in any way, then both the animals and plant products we consume become unavailable. Quick little side note. When we moved into this house that we're in now in this little town, I noticed my wife, she took some old tree sticks and she made a circle around a tree out back, and she started throwing, and she's way smarter about a lot of that outside stuff than I am. I'm just kind of rough, tumble, bounce my way through life. She actually knows some of this stuff. She went out there and she made her things around the tree, and she just started throwing stuff in it, and I'd see her grab all, and all of a sudden one day she said, check this out. She started showing me these big earthworms. I mean, big earthworms. And then, like, when her strawberries got here, that she wanted to, grow her some strawberries, instead of just digging in the dirt, she went and got that dirt that she had made. So she took and was creating dirt out of, the dead leaves and things of that nature, and the worms were eating them, and this type of stuff. So it's she makes her own dirt, and then if we want to go fishing, we can just grab some worms. There's so many big worms there, and it takes nothing but throwing our garbage, and not our garbage, but food peels and leaves and stuff like that there, and it does it for itself. There is a substantial literature on the adverse impacts of wireless radiation on this foundational logistical supply chain. These adverse effects are from the pre-5G wireless radiation exposure and would include enhanced coupling from the higher frequency harmonics of the RF signal. And remember, what we just went over about the RF signal wasn't even into the ultra high, super high frequencies of 2.4 gigahertz pulsed, and into what the cell phones are using today. This was just RF signals. Many of these supply chain elements are very small, and we could expect enhanced resonance energy coupling with the shorter wavelength 5G radiation when implemented, which means we could expect enhanced energy coupling. That means more. This indirect impact of wireless radiation may turn out to be at least as, if not more important, as the direct impact of wireless radiation on human survival. That is a very large claim. The indirect impact of wireless radiation may turn out to be at least, if not more important, as the direct impact of wireless radiation on human survival. From a broader perspective, most of the laboratory experiment component of the wireless radiation adverse effects literature can be viewed as related to the foundational food supply chain. Much of this research is focused on mice, rats, insects, small birds, small fish, etc. These species tend to be a prey of larger animals, fowl, fish, and eventually make their way to the human food table. Any environmental factors that affect the health of these species adversely will massive literature describing the adverse impacts of wireless radiation on myriad contributing components to our food supply, and the results do not bode well for our future ability to feed the growing world's population. Guys, this study is actually really, really important. There's not a whole lot of studies that we're going to find, any that I have found as of yet up until this one, by anybody with any scientific accreditation that takes it so far as to go back to, okay, let's start from the beginning. We've got the food. We've got the signals are actually messing with the ground. They're messing with the plants. They're messing with the insects. They're messing with everything in general. And this is where we're starting in the study. And we're just talking about radio frequencies. I think I understand now why this study is so long. And I understand now why it's going to be such a long series, but at least it gives me something to do on YouTube that so far is not getting hit by misinformations or crazy things from just YouTube. So maybe I can get this information out, and this is going to be pretty important. Guys, listen, I've told a million times, I don't watch me. I don't go back and watch these. For some strange, weird reason, you guys are still here. But you need to take the link to this right here and share it with people. If you have other social media, you need to share this with people. Take it and share it as your own. Look, say, I found this. I get it. I don't care. It's not about me. It's not about Fallout. It's not about you at this point. It's about this information being put into the hands of our brothers and sisters that live beside us on a daily basis, and knowing that you might do just a little bit of good in helping make somebody's life a little bit better. We deal with this, but the fact that we know we deal with it, it gives us a foot up on the competition every day. At least we understand what our smart meter is on our house. At least we understand that there are some things we can do, and some things are quite expensive, and I'm looking into others. But at that, we don't just, if you have Wi-Fi in your house, turn it off at night when you go to sleep. Every little bit you can do helps. If you have the possibility, we wired everything in our home. Ethernet. There's no... We had to get rid of it. You do the best you can with what you have. Some people have no idea that they need to try to do a little bit better. So take this information and share it to your friends, share it to your family, however you can. Now let's see how far we are before the... Oh yeah, this just keeps on going and keeps on going. And I'm not going to be able to read but like 40 minutes at a time, and I'm going to give out. So, let's go through. See, this is page 14, and if we go to page 15, I'll probably be able to remember page 15. So let's do page 14, and while I'm doing page 14, if you guys have any prayer requests, you can throw them in the chat. Now would be a good time to throw them in there, and even if I don't see them, the Father sees them. And we will be looking to get ready to do our prayer after this page. Whew. Okay, ES6, adverse impacts of wireless radiation on medical and non-medical implants. There were two major types of medical implants covered by the database article showing adverse effects. Active implants that produced electrical signals, mainly for controlling heart irregularities, which was pacemakers and defibrillators, and heart deficiencies. And then you had the cochlear implants, hearing deficiencies, which was the cochlear implant, and passive metallic implants for structural support, dental bone plates. Additionally, there are articles addressing adverse effects from wireless radiation in the vicinity of metallic appendages. The external electromagnetic field from microwaves could impact the electrical operation of this active medical implants adversely. Increase the specific absorption rate values, and that's the SAR rate. We've talked about those many times, of tissue in the vicinity of the passive implant substantially because of resonance effects. And 3, increase the flow of acidity of saliva in the vicinity of dental structures. While the EMF effects on the cochlear implants could adversely affect auditory capability, EMF effects on the heart-related implants could potentially be life-threatening. The increased SAR values around the passive metal implants could result in increased tissue temperature and could adversely impact integration and longevity of the passive metallic implants. In the mouth, the combination of increased tissue temperatures in proximity to the implant or other orthodontic structures and increased flow rate and acidity of saliva could lead to increased launching of heavy metals, a known contributor to serious diseases. Leaching of heavy metals, such as aluminum, barium, strontium, chromium, magnesium, manganese, all the stuff found in stratospheric aerosol injections. This also raises the question, what other adverse health effects from the exposure of both the active and passive implants to increasing levels of wireless radiation have not been identified or addressed? Those are the things that always bother me the most, is not identified and addressed. This is the third class of structures whose interaction physics with RF are related to those of the passive implants. They are termed implant analogs and include myriad exogenous particles, mainly nanoparticles, that penetrate and embed in the skin. Imagine that. The resultant nanoparticle embedded tissue have the potential for increased energy absorption from the income. Oh my gosh. The resultant nanoparticle embedded tissues have the potential for increased energy absorption from the incoming RF signal, thereby resulting in potentially increased thermal damage over and above the thermal damage resulting from the pulsed high peak to average power of the RF signal. Additionally, more research needs to be done to ascertain the magnitudes of these thermal transients and associated stress use in order to estimate the levels of enhanced potential damage from RF radiation. And it appears that they also need to start taking into consideration the nanoparticulates that are in the air now from the stratospheric aerosol injections, known as polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, that are added into the jet fuel naphthalines to make them more explosive. And when they come through the jet engine after a thorough burning and high temperature, they come out as a hydrocarbon, and they become a condensate nuclei, which is basically soot or just, pollution, and that is what allows the water to form around it. There is no water vapor trail without pollution, without ice nucleation, without a polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbon. All right, we're going to stop right there because it appears that the wireless radiation health effects, we're going to have a little study on the USSR, and I may actually have that one up for y'all next time, and we'll actually show it too. And we are on page 15, and I'll be able to remember page 15. And guys, this may take a long time to go over, but the whole study's there, and every time, and I decided to do this because every time I come on, maybe one more person will get to find out about it. Maybe two more people from them will get to find out about it, and maybe we can maybe we can just get this in people's hands. The thing is most of this should be common knowledge. Not even the crazy stuff that we know of, that I know comes later in here, when we really start talking about the 5G and other things. This is a mainstream. One more time, I'm just going to take it to the top for you guys. This is from the Georgia Institute of Technology, Ronald Kostoff, PhD, and he is a PhD in aerospace, Princeton, 1967. He worked for Bell Laboratories, Department of Energy, Office of Naval Research, MITRE Corp., and published 200 peer-reviewed articles and been the guest editor of 4 journal special issues since 1994. 2 text mining system patents, and presently research affiliate at Georgia Institute of Technology. Now, while I have all of you guys in here, if I haven't showed you before, and this link is in the description, I've kind of been hanging on to this little story for over a month. I do not invest in cryptos, but then again, I don't invest in Walmart. Very often, I don't invest in nothing. I invest in some things I can keep in my hand, and which don't really matter, because if they want that, they'll make that illegal and come take that too. You don't believe that? If you could ask your great-grandmother about making gold illegal and coming and taking it, they would tell you they come and take it. Well, I'm afraid we just have to fight about that at my house, because that's the one thing that I do invest in a little bit, is things I can put my hands on, like old tools, things that operate without power. I have some drills. I have hand drills. You don't have a motor on them. You got to, in case you got to bore a hole in some wood. I pick that type of stuff up anywhere I can, and I consider that an investment in case I ever need it to live. But just for those of y'all that didn't know, the cryptocurrency investors should be prepared to lose all their money. The Bank of England governor says. He said this on Friday, May the 7th, 2021. He said, when asked about the rising value of cryptocurrencies, he said they have no intrinsic value. And he says, I'm going to say this very bluntly again. Buy them only if you're prepared to lose all your money. Not Fallout, not crazyman.com. The governor of the Bank of England says cryptocurrencies have no intrinsic value and people who invest in them should be prepared to lose all their money. If something happens and it all goes south, here you go. I'm just throwing it out there because I'm not a crypto guy, but when I run across this and they put it on CNBC's page, got to throw it out there and let you see it. And for investors, that just might mean that, hey, they're fixing to crash the market and make it cheap. I don't know. I don't know what all that means when that happens, but there we go. Okay, now let me see. I'm going to scroll up here. I might have. Y'all, hey Bamboo, good to see you, brother. Much love to you. Dog named Boo, welcome in. What's your problem? I missed a bunch of y'all coming in. Delenzio, welcome in. Boru, Indigo. I missed a bunch of you guys popping in here. Oh, there's 54 of y'all in here watching. That's awesome. Welcome in, guys. Absolutely. Okay, a dog named Boo. Just remember a dog named Boo and a family. Oh, I remember losing my mother, and I'm still tore up about it. Only child, adopted, very, very spoiled. It's been almost 2 years now, and I'm, well, almost a 4. I don't, and see, that's how I can't even remember. I don't. It's been crazy. Joni. Just remember Joni. Father, I don't remember these. You remember these as we read them now. I know somebody in here is going to write that we need to pray for our enemies. And I know I seen one that said pray for rain out west. And anything that I missed. Okay, if I missed any of y'all, you know the Father sees it, and y'all know my eyes are horrible. So, Father, we thank you for allowing us to come together today. We thank you for allowing us to be together. We thank you for this time of wonderful fellowship, and I thank you for always keeping your protective hand over it. Father, I ask you to be with each and every one in here, those that have the requests today, Lord, the families that have lost members. Boo, I ask you to be with them, be with their family. Send the Holy Spirit to give them comfort through this time of loss. Help them to understand and help to always put the positive memories in their minds when they're going through these things. And I thank you for all of these things in Jesus' name. Father, I ask you to be with all the people out in the West. And Father, I ask that whatever's going on, that you allow them to see some rain. Father, I pray that you'll give them the nourishment that their land needs, that the ground needs, that they need. Father, I just pray that whatever's happening that's keeping that from going on, that by your hand and whatever's within your will is allowed to give them that refreshing thing that they need. And I'm thanking you for it in Jesus' name. Father, I ask you to be with all of our enemies that are coming against us, and to help us remember that it's not flesh and blood that we battle against, but against spiritual wickedness in the high places. It's against the evils that control their lives and used to control most of ours. Father, I pray that you continue to put a draw on their hearts and to hopefully open their eyes like you did ours. And hopefully bring things to light like that we found and are doing here today. Father, I thank you for all the blessings that you allow in my life, and I thank you for all the opportunities that you have given to me. All of the requests that are in this chat that I missed, that are in the prayer request in Discord, and that are in the prayer request in DLive. Father, I pray that you see them, that you know them, that you protect them, and send the Holy Spirit to be with them. I ask you to be with all of us. Protect us with that full armor. Keep us protected until we come back again. Give us the ability to pick up those fiery darts that the devil throws in our direction and throw them back at him. And most importantly, to be able to stand and speak boldly the truth of the evil in this world and the truth about your Son, Jesus. And it's in his precious name that I pray. All right, guys. Well, I guess this is working out pretty good for YouTube streams. I mean, it's information that needs to be out there, and it's definitely information that most normal people aren't going to sit down and take the time to read. And maybe if they open this video and they just hear a few minutes of it, maybe it's helpful, and maybe by continuing to do so, maybe we're helping somebody. And maybe it helps you to understand a little more about what's going on in a real world perspective. And I've found that this type of information actually makes it easier for us to talk to people about these things. Because sometimes and I'm bad about it too, I get off on the crazy rant. And when I get off on the crazy rant, I lose the actual people that I'm trying to talk to. And but so yeah, I hope this is good. And if I come across some other things, I'll pop them in here too. But it appears that these get to go through YouTube and not crash out. So, and I made that right about an hour. So most people will like the 1 hour deal. So I love you guys. Love God, love your neighbor, and love yourself. And also, my favorite pastor, Pastor Bob, I like his little saying. It says, you were blessed, so go be a blessing. Rhonda, Believe, Bamboo, Motor J, TM, Don't Jab Me, Bro. Rhonda, Bamboo, Rare Breeds, Little Fish, Dog Named Boo, Radical Life, Atom Bomb, Joni. Wow, there's a lot of y'all in here. It's awesome. Rare Breeds, Face the Sky, Super Dave in the house. Huh. That's odd. Super Dave should have been blue in here. All right, I gotta fix. Super Dave, you used to be a moderator. I don't know what happened. Anyway, Super Dave, I was a guest on Super Dave's show before anybody knew who I was. Anybody. I love all you guys. I hope you all have a great day. Tonight on D-Live, as long as the rain stays away, I'll be on sometime. But it may be after Mike tonight. So if it's after Mike, that'll just be... And if Mike don't come on, I'll probably be looking at about 9 o'clock. And hey, Rhonda, I don't remember the first words. I keep thinking that I'm going to sing it for you one day without you having to ask. And when you do that, it's like... Only thing that hits my mind is love is gonna find a way. Love is gonna find a way. That's about it. I don't have any music, and I can't remember the words, but that's what you're gonna get. Okay, love God, love your neighbor, love yourself. Everything else is gonna fall in line and be fine. So. I lost my thing where I can shut the stream down. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I hope to catch you at D-Live. The links for D-Live are in the description. Links for all kinds of other stuff are in the description. See you guys later. Talk to you later. Bye.